Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dave Hodge with Tom Larshad, and you can see that Lance Chomick has put the Toronto Argonauts in front with a 30-yard field goal. It is 3-0. We are in the first quarter. The Eskimos are second down as we pick up the action in this battle of first-place teams, and that's another Edmonton first down. Tracy Ham, who has struggled in this first quarter, and so has the Edmonton offense. It's Rick House. The Argos had one chance to score, fumbled it away, and then after the second straight very short punt by Jerry Cork, Lance Chomick broke the scoreless tie.
Toronto 48.
Tracy Ham just now finally getting on track, running for a first down and passing for one to Rick House, holds the defenders and throws it deep. Williams running for it. The Gizmo has it batted down. And they will call interference.
Great protection by the offensive line of the Eskimos for Tracy Ham. He had all kinds of time, straight drop back, one-on-one coverage. The Gizmo against Reggie Pleasant. I thought Pleasant was right there stride for stride. I want to take a look at this one. But pass interference is
Forward pass interference. Toronto number 2. First down.
So that's a big play on penalty for the Eskimos, who have had some difficulty in this opening quarter moving the football against the Eskimos. There's Ham looking downfield, spots Williams now, throws it as far as he can. Looked like Pleasant was right there to make the play. I don't know, that's a pretty close call.
The Argos have room to complain on two key officials' decisions in this first quarter. One that cost them the ball with a fumble, and now it has cost them a touchdown. A pass interference call on Reggie Pleasant is followed by the opening touchdown of the game, Tracy Ham, falling ahead for the 1 yard, and the Eskimos lead 6-3.
Tracy Ham just on a quarterback sneak behind his right guard, Dave Richardson, and of course that's the call down there when you only have a yard to go. Don't take any chances. Ham in for the score, his 5th touchdown of the year.
We're in the final minute of the opening quarter, and the Eskimos go in front by a score of 7-3. Edmonton 7 and the Argonauts 3. Tracy Ham sneaking a yard for a touchdown after a key pass interference call against Toronto's Reggie Pleasant. This is the ever-dangerous Pernell Moore. After what we've seen Earl Winfield do again today in Hamilton, it's really a toss-up as to who is the best kick returner in this league this season.
Well, Tracy Ham has certainly made an impression on football fans here in Edmonton with his fine play this year. After the very questionable interference call, put the ball on the 1 yard line. Ham with a quarterback sneak behind his offensive center, and his right guard goes and plunges into the end zone, and that gives Edmonton a 7-3 lead here in the first quarter.
Gilbert Renfro and the Argonauts moving from their 37-yard line. Joe Fennerty finds little or no room, but slides off those tackles as only he can do in this Canadian Football League. Fennerty still with a minimal gain.
Fennerty has that ability, uncanny ability, really, to slip blocks and tackles and step out of the arms. And Joe Faragelli told us yesterday, he said, our team is going to have to gang tackle Fennerty. Fennerty's just a straight power-off tackle. He gets hit, but watch, he doesn't go down. He plunges to the outside, but the Eskimo defense in their pursuit were able to haul him down.
Grabbing him doesn't mean tackling him. Darrell Smith breaks a tackle and gets a first down to the 50-yard line. The Argonauts move the yardsticks. Joe Faragelli has had his problems over the years with the Toronto Argonauts, but that one win, one of those 3 wins, of course, a memorable Grey Cup triumph last season.
Well, we have 2 very good football teams here today and 2 excellent coaches. Joe Faragelli, a happy-go-lucky guy. His teams are always loose. He likes his pizzas with pepperoni and anchovies. We won't blame him for that. He's still a good coach. And Bob Obilovich, what can you say about the job he's done with the Argos? The winningest coach in their history. Been to the Grey Cup 3 times, and they've won once.
First play of the second quarter is a first down for the Argos from their 50. Fennerty to the right side, and Joel Fennerty He spins off, tackles again.
You can expect Gil Fennerty to touch the football quite often, not only carrying it for the Argos, but in passing patterns. This is just a sweep right, student body right, a pitch to Fennerty. He's looking for a hole now, he's following his blockers. He sees a little seam. And you know, he's much tougher to bring down than a lot of people think. He doesn't look like a power runner, but he has tremendous balance.
By far the leading rusher in the CFL this season. They toss it up and try to let Pernell Moore run under it, but it is out of bounds, and excellent coverage on Moore by Stanley Blair.
Well, Bilovich has kind of eased Pernell Moore into the lineup as a wide receiver. I think he's getting more action here this afternoon than he has all season long. He's made a couple of nice receptions in this ball game. Bobo Bilovich thinks that he's got the chance to be an outstanding receiver. And one thing that has surprised me a little bit, Dave, is Renfro is throwing right into the teeth of the Eskimo defense, right against their best defensive back, Stanley Blair, and they've had some success.
Might have been trying to surprise the Eskimos with a pass on second down about 3. I think Edmonton probably was looking for Fennerty. The pass to Moore didn't work. Hank Alisic always hears the boos when he comes back to Edmonton. And here's Gizmo Williams. He probably doesn't know what Earl Winfield has done in Hamilton to win the game for the Tiger Cats. Gizmo out of bounds. Tracy Ham has directed one touchdown drive for Edmonton. Helped a lot by a pass interference call. Tony Spallettini returns to the roster and starts at running back with Chris Skinner. Gizmo Williams again for Stephen Jones outside, and up front there is no more Bill Stevenson. The 36-year-old veteran has retired. Dave Richardson at the right guard spot, where Stevenson has been playing this season. After Alisic's punt and Williams' return, a short one for Gizmo's first down. Edmonton at the Eskimos' 16-yard line.
The Eskimos
is not getting much yardage, and that Argonaut defense has really handled the Edmonton running game very well so far.
I think they're doing a super job of plugging up the middle. The Eskimos trying to establish their running game, but they are not having much success. The defensive tackles, Harding and Lewis, stuffing up the inside, but looks like the Eskimos are going to stick with it, though. They need to develop a running game, and then, of course, Tracy Ham, he can do anything.
Throws it outside, and Ron Ingram is in the game. Just picked up and added to the Edmonton roster today in Stephen Jones' place.
Just a little out pattern, a curl out, just to pick up the first down. A good call to the short side. Ingram just go down about 5 or 6 yards. He has to know where the sticks are, and he does. He gets the necessary yardage. Passes right there, and he makes the first down. And now Gizmo is back in, and Ingram goes to the bench.
Ron Ingram, the former Hamilton Tiger Cat. Farragelli said he offered him around to some other teams in the league. They didn't want him, and now Edmonton finds out that they have a need for Ron Ingram. Flags all over the place. The referee for today's game is Dave Ewell. And that's the third time in this game that the Eskimos have been called for illegal procedure, early movement along the line.
Illegal procedure. Edmonton number 68. First down repeated.
Argos, of course, are missing some important players on defense, but it's still a strong unit. Tony Visco starting at the end for the departed Nolan Harper. Bruce Holmes in the middle for Doug Landry, whose future remains up in the air with the Argos. A good secondary for Toronto. Again, the Eskimos try to establish the run. They don't have Blake Marshall, they don't have Chris Johnstone, but the Eskimos managed to find running backs, and Tony Spallettini has returned to make it a bit easier for Joe Farragelli to put a backfield together.
Spallettini has picked up 95 yards this year. He's a good, hard running back. These are two teams that come into this game 7-3 on the season, 1-2 in defense. You can't have a better matchup than this.
Was tipped away. Marco Sinclair did not have a chance to catch it. So Jerry Corrick, who's had a miserable first quarter, hopes that the second quarter can be different. He had an 11-yard punt and a 10-yard punt.
Tracy Ham, who always likes to move the pocket, goes to his right, looks back over to the short side. Don Moen makes a nice play, the experienced linebacker, the captain of the Argos, and gives us an opportunity, too, to congratulate the Moen family on the arrival of their first child, a baby girl, Chelsea. Congratulations to Don and Jillian.
Harkins back from 2 bad punts with a great one. And it gives Pernell Moore a lot of room. He's looking for some blockers. There aren't any. Ryan Warren down there, one of the Eskimos, to bring down Pernell Moore. John Conchemi and Danny Barrett have had turns trying to direct the Argo offense this season, but Gilbert Renfro has established himself as the #1 quarterback. He's certainly ahead of the other 2, although I guess you wouldn't say he is firmly established as the Argo starter. Renfro dumps the screen to the fullback, and Warren Hudson is off and running. Hudson into Edmonton territory. He's still going. Close to the 40, dropped the ball, and it fell out of bounds, so it's still Toronto possession. And a small play at the beginning turns into a big one at the end.
Bit of a surprise play, too. You usually expect to see Fennerty get it on the screen, but now and then they'll go to Hudson, formerly the Oshawa Hawkeyes, and he gets actually, he broke a tackle. Nice move to the outside and scampered down the sidelines. Big, strong running back, 225 pounds. He's mainly in there to block for Fennerty, but he demonstrated he can do something with the football when he gets a chance.
Play fake to Fennerty. Renfro overthrows his intended receiver, and that is a newcomer to the Argo offense, Melvin Houston.
The Argos picked him up in a free agent camp in Michigan. He has terrific speed. It's the first time we've had a chance to take a look at this young man, Melvin Houston, Central Michigan University, runs the 40 in 4.4. The ball was overthrown. Renfro, though, looks good today, Dave. He's stepping back. He's solidly standing in the pocket, doesn't have the nervous feet, playing with a lot of confidence.
By and large, getting pretty good protection. Second down, Renfro to the sidelines. Moore is out of bounds. No catch, incomplete. Stanley Blair with the coverage, and he knows if he's standing in the field and has Moore well covered, the only way Moore can catch it is this way.
Well, he was clearly out of bounds. He jumped up in the air, but he would not have come down in play, and good call by the officials. That'll put the Argos in a kicking situation. Toronto's been able to move the football. Obilovich told us today, he said in all the years they've played Edmonton, they've had some great games. No matter if Edmonton's ranked #1 in defense or #5, they've been able to move the football, and they've demonstrated they can do it again today.
Ingram is back with Gizmo Williams for Hank Olisic's punt. He's going to get to the end zone easily, and let's see what Ingram has been told to do with this. Concede 1 point. The Eskimos lead 3 points. They lead 7-4.
We can win a game.
The Argonauts have scored a field goal and a single, have moved the ball better than that, but the points on the board are what count. And the Eskimos have a touchdown, and never mind how it happened. Officials' flag largely responsible for the Edmonton points.
Danny Bass, the Edmonton coaches tell us, is having his finest year as a pro, so it must be a super one because Bass has enjoyed an outstanding career with Toronto, Calgary, and now, of course, he's the middle linebacker of the Eskimos, and he is an impact player.
Ham turns and has some pressure right off the bat and goes back a long way and has a receiver wide open. This is Skinner. To the 5-yard line.
This is one of the best jobs of deception that I've seen in a long time. We just saw the tail end of it as Ham hit Skinner. He's wide open, and it's just a foot race as he's looking for blockers. The Argos desperately trying to catch up, and he's finally hauled down inside the 10-yard line, actually inside the 5, put it at the 6. But Tracy Ham rolled out to his left, looked like he was going to be contained, and all along he knew he wanted to suck in the Argo defense to the left side. Skinner had released to the outside, threw the pass, and the biggest play of this football game, next to the questionable penalty against the Argos that really set up Edmonton's first touchdown, the penalty putting the ball on the 1. Carl Braisley, who turned 31 years old on Thursday and is allegedly said to be the best defensive back in the Argos secondary. He certainly is the most experienced. 30 career interceptions. He's run 2 back for touchdowns. He's up on his feet, and hopefully he'll be all right.
Well, once more, Tracy Ham shows the great poise under a rush. Not only is he able to scramble, but he's able to find a receiver who is as wide open as you can possibly be in that part of the field. And then Skinner showed some good running ability. Will he turn it into a touchdown? Yes.
Nobody executes this play better than the Eskimos. Back when Hugh Campbell was the head coach, it's just a little roll left, and Walling, who's now in the ball game, just releases and runs out into the flat. He did a good job to come back to the football because it was underthrown. Walling with his first touchdown as an Edmonton Eskimo, and all of a sudden Edmonton, who had some difficulties moving the football, will jump out to a 14-0 lead.
Brian Walling used to be with the Argonauts and was looking forward to this game. Most of the so-called revenge factor in this game is said to be with Toronto, trying to get even for the Grey Cup. But Brian Walling wants to show the Argos they shouldn't have let him get away. If the Eskimos win this game, they will be back into sole possession of first place in the CFL West, 2 points ahead of Saskatchewan, and they would leave the Argos in the first place Eastern tie with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Obviously, it is the other way around if the Argos come back to win.
Well, this game was billed the 2 first-place teams in both divisions. Also, the 2 of the finest kick returners in the game. Cornell Moore taking the kickoff. Here's the Eskimos on their last touchdown as Tracy Ham goes back. He just hits Walling out in the flat again. Walling with good job of concentration to be able to take that pass just off his shoelaces and go in for the score.
Kennedy gliding and looking for a hole if there is one. Otherwise, he can make yards his own way, which is to bounce in and around and off tackle.
Dave, a lot of talk about the Gizmo Williams and Cornell Moore and their ability to return kicks. But I'll tell you, there's a guy down east who's having a sensational season. Of course, that's Mr. Winfield, who's already returned 3 punts for touchdowns and a kickoff. Watch out, Gizmo, you're no longer king of the castle.
Well, he won the head-to-head duel here last week, did Gizmo Williams, but both teams pointing in both directions, waiting for the officials to decide.
Lots of pressure put on Renfro that time by the defensive ends. Carter and Stuart Hill both caved in on Renfro, and I think he was jolted just a little bit. Eskimos have an excellent secondary. I think they're the most physical secondary in the league. They really make the receivers pay for it when they catch the ball. On the other hand, I think the Argos have the quickest secondary.
Placement of the ball gives the Argos a first down. Renfro had his receiver Darrell Smith in the clear, but twice in this game he's had that pattern open to Smith, and the ball has not been there, or Smith hasn't been able to get to it at any rate.
You don't get many chances to have players so wide open downfield as Darrell Smith was that time, and Renfro knows he should have put that ball on the money, and the guys will come back to the huddle. He'll say, hey, I'm sorry, but we'll get them next time, and there's still a lot of jump in this Argo team, even though they're trailing 14-4.
2nd and 10 Toronto. The Eskimos show blitz, and now delay with the blitz. Renfro's down.
Larry Ruck, the outside linebacker on the weak side, comes very quickly. He just gets right around the blockers, as does Carter. Forces Renfro to step up in the pocket. By that time, of course, it all caves in, but Larry Ruck was really the guy who made the play. I think he's kind of an underrated linebacker really on this team. He does a good job. He's usually the weak side, and he stepped into this league right from the Saskatoon hilltops.
He got to Renfro in the first quarter before our viewing audience left Hamilton, so it's been a big day so far for Larry Ruck. And Stuart Hill is the injured Edmonton Eskimo, with the Eskimos leading by a score of 14-4. To connect with Jim Sandusky, and Ham has a headache.
Oh, he really paid for this one. Tracy Ham trying to hit his favorite wide receiver, Jim Sandusky. Straight drop back. Right now it looks like he has good protection. Watch now as he just, actually, it looked like he got, what do they call it? The clothesline, I guess. No penalty on the play. But Ham was obviously shaken up, and you can bet Joe Faragelli is not happy about that.
Well, the Argos had complaints with officials' calls in the first quarter, and Joe Faragelli clearly upset that no flag was thrown there, and the rule book does provide for one. Hit to the head of the quarterback, and perhaps a little late, too. Pernell Moore after another good Jerry Corrick punt, and Moore is underway. Taken down from the backside by Junior Robinson after returning to the 47-yard line. Good field position for the Argonauts, whose offense has established momentum with the last touchdown drive.
Pernell Moore, where the Argos had set up the return down the left side, he was trying to get to the wall, but he had to cut it up the middle. Look at the speed this guy has, tremendous acceleration. He's finally hauled down from behind, but you can see he's a threat every time he touches the ball. 529 yards, 2 for touchdowns. Not bad for a rookie.
It's a busy day for him starting at wide receiver today. Renfro's getting good protection. That's a big part of what the Argos have been able to do lately. And Gil Fennerty takes a short screen and runs for yardage with it.
Tracy Ham, what a talent. When you see the numbers this guy put on the scoreboard down at that small school, Georgia Southern, over 3,000 yards rushing, 5,000 yards passing. I'm telling you, that's mind-boggling, even if he played against the Sisters of the Poor.
Greg Fabra is throwing in the sidelines in case Tracy Ham cannot come back. The Eskimos try to get the ball back for their offense, and that'll help a bit. Renfro's pass falling harmlessly incomplete.
Greg Fabra played with the Calgary Stampeders, the BC Lions. Here in the backup role for Tracy Ham. Looks like he's starting to warm up. Tracy taking that blow to the head on that last series. But Fabra hasn't taken his jacket off yet, so that indicates to me that Ham probably will return.
2nd and 10 Toronto from the Edmonton 52-yard line. Here come the Eskimos trying to put pressure on Renfro. They do. He throws it. And Moore comes back, dove, and did not catch it.
He gave it a good effort, though. Pernell Moore was kind of a wounded duck, but Stuart Hill, what an impact he's made since he's returned to the Eskimos. I think it's lifted their play up 2 notches. Hill, tremendous quickness. He's as good a pass rusher as there is in the league. I rank him right up there, certainly with Bobby Jurison of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Greg Stuman, when he played defensive end last year, now a linebacker with the Lions, but tremendous quickness, and Hill is a real leader on this team.
We've got a punting battle today between 2 of the CFL's best, Jerry Corrick and Hank Alisic. Not a good one by Alisic, and he doesn't get the benefit of a bounce either. Apparently that ball didn't touch anybody initially, but it still may be a no yards call against the Argonauts.
Been a tough year for Damon Allen. He was penciled in as the #1 quarterback this year with the trade of Matt Dunnigan to the BC Lions. He's been injured twice.
No yards. Toronto number 90. First down.
You have to have 2 quarterbacks in this league to win. I think any of the good teams realize that. And the Eskimos, of course, I think have been the masters of that. They've always had 2 quarterbacks who can play.
I like this rule, Tom. Short punt, bouncing back toward the Argos. They don't get out of the 5-yard zone, and they're penalized 15 yards for that horrible indiscretion. Eskimos do benefit from the no yards penalty. Tracy Ham is not going anywhere. By and large, the Argonauts are putting more pressure on Ham than the Eskimos are getting on Renfro.
We're seeing 4 great cornerbacks in this game. Braisley, the leader of the Argo defense, he was just right next to Jim Sandusky. Ham looking for Sandusky. He's not there. Finally, they converge on him, and he's sacked. Tracy Ham doesn't get sacked too often. The Argos have come in with a great game plan, and they're executing it very well, I think.
Ham is in the pocket. Over the middle, and the ball was batted down by the middle linebacker, Bruce Holmes, from the University of Minnesota. The Argo defense asserting itself now. Tracy Ham a bit befuddled as to Edmonton's inability to move the ball.
Bruce Holmes, of course, a newcomer at that middle linebacker spot from the University of Minnesota. He was in his drop, and he played the football all the way. Good reaction. Of course, he's disappointed. Anytime you can get your hands on the football, you should catch it. He knows it. He's a little upset with that one.
The Eskimos holding a 3-point lead. Count on Jerry Corrick to get them another good punt, and that he does. We're backing up and now trying to go forward, and he sees some room. There is a flag, though. And so Pernell Moore, who doesn't know it, he is the victim of a penalty as well, as they pulled him down by the face mask. So the Eskimos aren't going to benefit as much as they might have.
No, it's interesting, and I think it was a good call by the officials, but the official closest to the play did not throw the penalty marker. It was an official on the sideline about 30 yards up the field who saw the clip, and of course the flag came down, and I think it was a good call. This time the Argos had a return right. Pernell Moore was able to get to his wall of blockers and then turn it up the field. And when you have the speed of a Moore or Williams, Winfield, what have you, that's all they need to do is turn the corner. Then you know that they can do some serious damage to you. But this one's going to be called back.
Illegal block, Toronto number 27. Face mask, Edmonton number 11. First down.
Illegal block against Toronto. Face masking against the
We might be able to see the clip here by Major as Moore tries to get, it'll be right here at the top of your screen. It was right there. And then grabbing the face mask by Junior Robinson. This should come on the tackle. Clearly a good call by the officials.
Renfro again had time to throw, threw it behind Gil Finnerty, who left his feet, but he didn't have a chance. Finnerty covered by the linebacker, Larry Ruck, who has been prominent so far today.
Gil Finnerty, Rookie of the Year in the Canadian Football League last year. He came into this game and just 37 yards short of his total output in rushing a year ago. Of course, he had that sensational game earlier in the season when he established a new Argo record with 215 yards rushing in one game.
Renfro back and fires a strike. Gilbert Renfro to his favorite receiver today. Little doubt of that, Darryl Smith.
The quarterback is the most important player on the team. He touches the ball on every offensive series, but he also has to have a lot of courage. And he really paid for that from Stuart Hill, and he hung right in there. Danny Bass converged right in, of course made the tackle after the reception.
Final minute of the first half, and now after all this passing the Argos are doing, they spring Finnerty for a gain of close to a first down.
That's the ideal thing, Dave, that you want to do. You want to be able to complement your passing game with the running game. And when you can get this kind of flow, and this is the first time I think the Argos have been able to put together a decent drive, and when you can mix it up and have the defense guessing a little bit, that's exactly the way you want to have them. Renfro now going to go to the sidelines. They bring in the chains to see if they got the necessary yardage for a first down. As I mentioned earlier, Renfro gets all his plays from the bench. And Jemmy gives him a little moral support as he trots back down to the field.
Argos have moved the ball better than the Eskimos have in this game, but the Argos trail by 3 points. They attempt to alter that with 40 seconds remaining in the first half. Bird looked for the ball a little late. It was there, and he perhaps should have made the catch.
I think it was a case again of Renfro just being a little off target. He's had 3 or 4 passes like that today where his receivers have been open, and his accuracy is just a little bit off.
Well, the Argos aren't in Lance Thomas field goal range yet. need at least one first down and maybe two. There's one. Darryl Smith is killing the Eskimos, and a lot of these passes are coming right over the middle.
He's having a big afternoon. He already has over 100 yards and receptions. He's the favorite receiver right now of Renfro. As we get a close-up on Smith as he drives the defensive back, Tony right back now, curls to the open area. Tony had to react on it, but Smith coming back to the ball.
Well, they're in field goal range now, and they go looking for more. Moore coming back to the ball, makes the catch. The CFL Stars of the Week selectors are going to have fun this week with Ray Elgard and Dave Williams having a great night in Vancouver on Friday. Earl Winfield, 2 touchdown catches plus his punt return TD today in Hamilton, and what a day Darryl Smith is having already.
Well, the Argos have called a timeout with 19 seconds remaining till the end of the half. Chance to regroup. This is a drive I know that Bob Obilovich would dearly like to see the Argos get it into the end zone for a major touchdown, but they're definitely now in Chomic's range for a field goal.
The Argos felt they could have success throwing over the middle, and that's exactly what's happened so far. It almost seems too easy. The Eskimos obviously will have to look for some kind of halftime adjustment to take that pass over the middle to Darryl Smith away from the Argos.
Well, that's a pretty good total for Darryl Smith in an entire 60 minutes of a football game, 132 yards. And he's really been the story offensively for Toronto.
See what the Argos decided on the timeout. They had a little trouble with a snap of the ball. Renfro adjusted very nicely and threw it incomplete. But that could have been a play that cost the Argonauts some yards, and maybe worse, as Renfro just left center a little late.
Well, I'll tell you, he almost dropped the football. I'll tell you, that would have really been a backbreaker for the Argos in these final seconds. They need to come away with points here. Renfro stayed with it, though, and he was actually, it was a smart play as he was going to be sacked. He just threw it to an open area in the end zone. He can get another crack at it here.
14 seconds left, 2nd and 10 from the 17. Here they come. Renfro still at his feet. Fired it low. Not much chance of an interception, and Renfro has to be thinking that the field goal must stand as a 3rd down possibility, and whether he really intended to complete that, I guess whatever chance there was, Renfro was going to take, but no big risk. So Lance Chomick, if he makes the field goal, would create a tie at halftime.
Stuart Hill makes so many big plays for this Eskimo football team. Again, he was the first one in to put pressure on the Argo quarterback, Renfro. Was able to push him out of the pocket. Good coverage, too, by the Eskimo secondary.
Chomick made one earlier, 30 yards. This one is easy. There are still 4 seconds left, but unless the Eskimos run it back for a touchdown or something disastrous happens to them in terms of the fumble, we're going to have a tie score at halftime, and I guess the Eskimos perhaps can feel a bit fortunate that they're even with the Argos.
Well, we've seen some pretty good football in the Canadian Football League this weekend. It started with the thriller under the dome in Vancouver, that great victory by the Saskatchewan Roughriders over the BC Lions. Last night, the Calgary Stampeders went into Winnipeg, staged a nice comeback to pick up their 4th win of the season. The Ottawa Roughriders still only have 1 victory, but they came back and put on a pretty good show against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, losing 35-25. And here we are. We've played 30 minutes of a football game between the 2 leaders in the Canadian Football League, 7-3 records, and they're tied at 14.
They aren't producing the excitement they did in last year's Grey Cup, and I don't suppose we had any right to expect that. However, it's been a strange sort of first half. Neither team really having things flowing its way, and we'll try to do something about that at halftime. Let's see what the Argonauts are going to do on this kickoff. Maybe they'll decide to kick it short. Eskimos are just going to pick it up and now see what they can get on the return. Ron Ingram had better wear some different shoes in the second half, because he's been slipping all over the field in this first half. The teams at their respective benches prior to the kickoff to start the 3rd quarter. Both teams trying to go to sole possession of first place, and only one of them will, unless, of course, this game should end in a tie. But the Argos right now are tied for first in the East with Hamilton, and the Eskimos are tied for first in the West with Saskatchewan. And that's the kind of races that the Canadian Football League divisions would like. I guess it would also be nice to see a playoff race, and we might have one yet, Tom, in the CFL West with Calgary winning yesterday and BC losing on Friday, but it's not going to be a playoff race in the East. The Ottawa Rough Riders still in a sad situation, losing their 10th game in 11 starts today.
No, the East is pretty well decided with the three teams, the Argos, the Bombers, and the Ticats. We just don't know the order to finish back there, but out west, I'll tell you, this one's going to be a battle. And the BC Lions, all of a sudden, earlier, 2 or 3 weeks ago, they were in a first-place tie with the Eskimos. Now they're looking over their shoulder at the Calgary Stampeders.
We don't have very far to look with the Stampeders beating Winnipeg yesterday. Just 2 points separating BC and Calgary, and what do you know, they play next Friday on the Canadian Football Network at McMahon Stadium. The rejuvenated Calgary Stampeders, we can call them, and the lately troubled BC Lions.
Well, the Argos are going to receive the second half kickoff as they elected to kick off to start this game. Of course, Pernell Moore back deep for the Argos. He's the guy they would like to see get the football. It'd be interesting to see if Cork now tries to kick it away from him.
Players are having some problem looking into the sun this afternoon at Commonwealth Stadium, and it seems to be the case again. The Eskimos finally corralling the Toronto kick returner. Mark Norman, a specialty teams player par excellence for Edmonton.
Well, special teams is so important in the Canadian Football League, and the coaches always look for a guy who's not a starter but can make a big contribution on special teams, and the guy that does it for the Eskimos is number 23, Mark Norman. As he goes down under control, he gets hit from behind a little bit, but he gets a piece of the ball carrier, and it's that kind of effort that Joe Farragelli likes in this young man.
Argos with the ball at their 26-yard line to start the second half. And Pro tries Pernell Moore and finds him for a first down.
Stanley Blair, the cornerback of the Eskimos, who was the Western Division Rookie of the Year a year ago. A lot of respect for Pernell Moore and his speed. We told you he runs the 40 and 4.4. He drives Blair back, comes back to the football. You can't execute the hook any better than that.
Moving the ball just ahead of the Argonaut 40-yard line. Quick cutback by Fennerty, but he lost his footing just enough to stop his motion and allow the Eskimos to converge on.
Commonwealth Stadium is the only remaining stadium that has natural turf. The rest, of course, are all artificial. Sometimes there is a footing problem, but on the whole, I think this is one of the nicest fields, Dave, that you'll see anywhere.
And all the players will tell you that. Second down, 10 Argos from the 40. And nice protection for Renfro. Finds Moore. And it's a first down near midfield. A great job by the Toronto offensive line. Mind you, Peroni and Schultz are out of there. And Bobo Vilovich wasn't too pleased with the protection last week against Saskatchewan.
He has to be pleased today, though, Dave. This is just fantastic protection. When that quarterback can drop back, plant himself, set up, and then deliver the ball downfield, you know those horses up front are doing the job.
Eskimos showed the blitz. Argos run past it with Fennerty, but a good solid tackle by Don Wilson.
There isn't a coach in the league that wouldn't like to have Gil Fennerty, but the guy who has him is Bobo Vilovich, and I'll tell you, he knows he's got a good one. When you have someone with the ability of a Fennerty, you can bet you want him to have the football as often as possible. And one thing about OB, he knows when he has a good thing. And Fennerty, he'll lug the ball and catch it.
Come the Eskimos trying to get to Renfro. He unloads before they do, and again, he was trying to hit Darryl Smith. Good pressure, a hurry is credited to the Eskimos there.
Well, this is one time I think the Eskimos, while they didn't get the sack, they did the next best thing, and that's to get their hands in the air and drive Renfro back. He wasn't able to follow through on the throw. That's almost as good as a sack. The big thing is that the Argos have to give up the ball, and the Eskimos now get a chance to go on the offense. Will the Gizmo do it this time?
Hank Kalisic, a nice high punt. Gizmo has to wait at his 2-yard line. He's underway. Argos cover him well. We were tied at halftime, and that's still the case as the Argos failed to break the tie with their first possession.
Ow.
And throwing a deep man there. The catch is not made. Not in bounds at any rate. Rick House inquiring as to the official's decision, but it is an incomplete pass.
Oh, I like this Tracy Ham. Here he is on his own 7-yard line. He doesn't care about that. He has Rick House open, and he just stepped out of bounds. A good call by the official. Raisley had pretty good coverage, too, and the ball was well thrown. Tracy Ham, for a little guy, a very strong arm. He's a Mississippi Gambler, this guy.
Well, they wanted to pass on first down from their 7-yard line. They'll do it again. And throwing it out. Incomplete as he tried to hit Jim Sandusky. So the Edmonton offense sputters once more. Jerry Corrick is going to have to punt this ball from his end zone.
Well, we haven't seen too much from the former BC Lion, Jim Sandusky, who was in the other side of the Matt Dunnigan trade. Forget about the players and the draft choices that'll be coming up next year. Sandusky has had one real banner game, 3 touchdown passes. He's a good little guy. Joe Farragelli said he's really pleased to have him now with the retirement of really one of the all-time greats, Brian Kelly.
Corrick's losing the punting battle today against Hank Kalisic. Darnell Moore, he goes out of bounds. The Argos are going to have the ball at the 38 of the Eskimos. Carl Braisley leans a little to the right, weighted down by some plaster on the right forearm.
How would you like to be a receiver and know that you're going to be hit by that? A splint, I think it looks a little more vicious than it really is. A lot of tape. It's a fractured wrist, actually.
Renfro swings to Fennerty. And the ability to break tackles allows him to make yards.
That really is Fennerty's strength, Dave, is his ability to step out of a tackle. He has that limp leg to, he gives it to it, and then he just steps right out. How many times have we seen this All-American from Holy Cross do this? He is really pretty to watch.
He got 7 yards on first down and then falls down. Warren Hudson slipping and sliding and trying to get to the first down. He won't make it.
It's the 3rd or 4th time that we've seen the players from both teams have a little problem with their footing.
Put the ball down at the 30, so it is 3rd and 2 full yards, and the Argonauts prefer to send Lance Chomick for his 3rd field goal try. He's made the first 2. John Conjemi, a little confused, looking over at the bench, now ready. The 37-yard attempt by Chomick. Right hash marks. He's good again, and the Argos lead by 3.
Chomick has been a very consistent kicker for the Argos, a good pressure kicker. I think his range is maybe not as long as some of the other kickers in the league, but inside the 40, 35-yard line, this guy is almost automatic.
Well, it's probably more important to make the field goals you should make than to make 1 or 2 that people don't expect you to make.
Well, his longest this year is 51 yards. He was 21 of 28 coming into today's football game.
Eskimos trailed by 3 points early in the game, and now they trail by 3 points again. 9.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. The Argo defense all fired up. It's done quite a job and has to have Joe Farragelli wondering what it takes to get the Eskimos to move the ball with consistency.
Dave, we thought that the Argo defense was going to be a little suspect today because of 3 starters out of the lineup, and I mentioned that under adversity, a lot of teams arise to the occasion. I'll tell you, Bob Obilovich and his coaching staff have to be delighted the way the Argos are stopping the running game of the Eskimos.
And to the sidelines, the catch is made. Jumping high to make sure of a catch, the Gizmo.
That was a well-thrown football, too, because I don't even think that Tracy Ham could see the Gizmo out there. He's in the pocket. The Argos have come with their hands high in the air. Gizmo Williams, who is pressed into duty because of the injury to Stephon Jones, makes a fine catch. Hurt his ankle a little bit, so he's replaced by Ron Ingram for this play.
An important first down for the Eskimos as they try to get something going. They are first down at their 49. Play fake, and waits. Still waits, and now throws it deep. This is Ingram. He's got it, and he scores the touchdown. No slipping and sliding and falling down for Ron Ingram there.
That's the biggest play of the football game. You talk about protection. Watch this count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ham had time to make change for $1. He finally spots Ingram, who got behind the secondary. Perfect throw. Great over-the-shoulder catch. Ron Ingram, touchdown Eskimos. Interesting story about Ingram. Farragelli was telling us yesterday that he called 2 other teams in the CFL who need some receivers. He says, I've got a guy who can play for your team. And he said, everybody thought I was kidding. We activate him, and look what he's done today. The biggest play of the football game, Ron Ingram, and the Eskimos once again regain the lead.
The guy the Eskimos couldn't give away has given them a 4-point lead over the Argos. Ron Ingram has quite a debut as an Edmonton Eskimo. The Eskimos are leading, and here's Pernell Moore. He's tough to bring down. The Argonauts are in good shape with the ball at their 47-yard line.
There's a happy man right there, Ingram, who just scored the touchdown. The play starts with play action, a fake to Skinner up the middle. That just delays it, gives Ham a little extra time. And he just sits. This is when it's fun for a quarterback. Boy, I'll tell you, when you can sit there and just look around and take your pick. Ingram had enough time to get behind the Argos secondary. Big touchdown pass. Ron Ingram from Tracy Ham.
Argos try to answer that first down from their 47. Renfro gets time. Darrell Smith, it worked in the first half, and there's no indication the Eskimos are ready to stop him.
I'm a bit surprised that Smith is able to have the kind of success he's having today. We all know that this Eskimo secondary converge on the football very quickly, and they are a very physical defense. Normally, players are a little hesitant to catch the ball on the inside, but Smith, he owns the Eskimo secondary today.
Eskimos, though they may be worried about Darrell Smith, don't seem to be losing any of their concentration at stopping Gil Fennerty, who was held to 67 yards by Saskatchewan last week and is struggling for his yardage today.
Alex Carter, who's second in quarterback sacks for the Eskimos behind the Toaster Williams, played that very well as he shook off the blocker, held his ground, and made a solid tackle on Fennerty. That time, he made sure he had both arms around the running back.
Renfro outside uses Jeff Boyd. And it's a first down, Toronto.
Well, we haven't seen too much from Jeff Boyd, the former big play guy for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, now in an Argo uniform. A short drop of 3 steps, a breakout, one-on-one against Benjamin. Boyd picks up the first down.
At the Edmonton 31-yard line. Boyd, Smith, and a couple of rookies, Houston and Moore, the Argonaut receivers. Darrell Smith again, stayed in bounds as long as he could, got to the 13-yard line. It's interesting, Tom, that the Argos have 4 imports at the receiver positions, the only team in the CFL to do so, and they're going against a secondary that features 5 Americans. The Eskimos the only team doing that.
This was a very well-run play, as you could see. Darrell Smith broke off Jeff Boyd, the other wide receiver. That was enough to get position on Benjamin. And again, a perfect strike from Renfro.
13 yards away from a touchdown that would put them back into the lead. The Argonauts at the 13. Juggled, and Boyd almost had a chance to catch it the second time, but he was hit and taken out of the play by Steve Benjamin.
That's a ball that should be caught. But again, we talked about receivers a little hesitant sometimes to go into the inside. And Boyd, of course, has played against this Edmonton team quite a bit. He knows, if you notice, he just took his eye off the football, expecting the hit. Well, he got hit, but he didn't catch it.
He's wide to the left, and Darrell Smith is flanked that way too. Renfro back. Diving attempt at the catch. Melvin Houston, the newcomer, at the 5-yard line, couldn't catch it, and Lance Chomick comes in to try to be 4 for 4.
And the Eskimos went with the blitz that time too. Renfro was just starting to pick them apart on this drive. And again, it's Stewart, Hill, and company who get in and converge on Renfro. Again, he had to hurry his pass, and it was incomplete. Argos will have to settle for another field goal.
Tom Jemmy to hold for Lance Chomick, unless the Argos have something up their sleeve. It is a field goal, and Chomick makes it, and the lead is 1 point now. You're looking at injured Eskimo John Mandarich, who had an operation to clear his nasal passages and may secretly be a fan of the Washington Redskins.
He's broken a lot of noses, I know that.
After Chomick's 4th field goal, Tracy Ham throws deep. Sincart turns one way, the other, and then looks back, and the Argos number 27, Doran Major, covering Marco Sincart.
Excellent coverage by the Argos secondary. Major, and of course the cornerback on the right side is Pleasant. Both right there. That really had no chance, thrown into double coverage. Just a long incompleted pass, second down Eskimos.
Tracy Ham must feel confident with a long pass after taking the lead with it to Ron Ingram. He's back again. This is a short one. 41-yard line, well short of a first down, as 3 Argos converge on the pass receiver, Chris Skinner.
Well, Tony Visco had a chance to make the tackle. Skinner was able to break that one, but he did not pick up the necessary yardage for the first down. You know, Dave, quarterbacks will throw deep. Of course, they're always hoping they'll come up with the home run and the big play, but they'll often do it, too, to loosen things up a little bit.
You can hit the home run, or you can get a flag, which
That's right.
helped the Eskimos score their first touchdown on this game. Burrick's rather short punt is returned to the 45. We have 4:54 left in the third quarter. The Eskimos up by a point, trying to do what they did to the Argos in the 1987 Grey Cup, and that is beat them. I don't suppose they can expect to beat them much more handily than they did then. Not at this rate anyway, as neither team has really established a big lead. The Eskimos did lead by 10 at one point and may have been in a position to dominate the game, but the Argos came back later in the second quarter and scored 10 points to tie it at halftime. The lead has gone to Toronto and then back to Edmonton in this third quarter.
Doran Major was shaken up on that punt return by Pernell Moore. Really in the kicking return battle between the Gizmo and Moore, Moore has a big edge in return yardage.
But the real winner today among punt returners was in Hamilton. Earl Winfield returning his 3rd punt for a touchdown this season, and Winfield leads the CFL in punt returns. Williams, Moore, they're strong, and we keep mentioning James Jefferson of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who's having a good year in that department as well. Argos first down from their 45. Renfro looks over the middle. Moore wide open within a yard of a first down.
There are the numbers for Renfro: 22 of 38, 340 yards.
Tracy Ham with almost 200 yards from only 10 completions, which tells you that a few of those have gone for long distances. Two fakes. Renfro looks downfield for Smith. There's some jostling between Darrell Smith and Stanley Blair, and it's incomplete.
Oh, I like that call. Good faking by Renfro, and I'll tell you why that play didn't go for a touchdown. Darrell Smith, who's having a great afternoon of catching the football, quit on the play. He was wide open, and then he stopped. Renfro then threw it like he was going to be in full speed, and the ball was overthrown. Smith just quit on the play. Now he doesn't know whether he should go off the field or come back in. He's really confused.
It is third down, and they're going to go for it. With Hudson and the Eskimos stopping the first time, but it appeared that Warren Hudson leaned ahead on his second charge and got the first down.
Oh, it's going to be very, very close. I think he had to almost get to the Eskimo 54-yard line. It depends on the spot now. Just a power run off left tackle. He gets hit right at the line of scrimmage. Great gang tackling by the Eskimos, and I think this is going to be awfully, awfully close.
Entire.
From right at the 55-yard line. The Argos go first down, Renfro for Boyd. A flag is thrown, and a late hit of the quarterback might be the call.
You know, Renfro has had an outstanding afternoon, but you think what kind of numbers he could have put up had he hit some of his receivers that were wide open. Boyd this time wide open in the left corner, but Columbus hit him after he delivered the football, and you talk about protecting quarterbacks. This is one time the officials threw the flag.
Almost an excuse me hit by Columbus, but that doesn't matter. If you hit him late, you hit him late, and the flag was thrown quite correctly. First down, Argos at the 40-yard line. 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Argonauts trying to get the lead for the third time in the game. Underthrown. Boyd turned, tried to come back. He seemed to lose his footing a little bit and couldn't catch it.
Jeff Boyd on a breakout pattern, well aware of the necessary yardage for the first down. Again, I say, Dave, if you can get your hands on the football, you should catch it. He was slipping a little bit. Nonetheless, it was a catchable football. That's what you call a tape job.
Second and 10 from the Edmonton 40. Eskimos jump, and now the question is, were they made to do that by the Argonauts, and particularly right tackle Kelvin Prunster?
Well, I think Prunster left his stance too early.
Illegal procedure, Toronto 66. Second down.
That is Kelvin
You
Prunster.
can see the confusion right here, the left of your screen. He'll lift his hand up. Once those linemen are down in that three-point stance, they can't move until the snap of the football. They're right there, and that draws the Eskimos offside. Good call by the official.
Argos move back to the 45 for this second down play. Boyd goes up, and he tipped it past an Edmonton defender who thought an interception might be possible, and Jeff Boyd's going to stay on the ground for a few seconds.
Jeff Boyd coming off the line very quickly, looking down. Now he's looking for the soft area of the zone. He curls back, and you can clearly see that Renfro had thrown the ball behind him. That would have been an outstanding catch had Boyd made it. He also injured himself on the play, and now being attended to by the medical staff of the Argos. You know, Toronto is moving this football up and down, but they can't seem to have any finish right now. Other than that big play to Ingram from Tracy Ham, the Eskimos haven't done a whole lot in the second half. But they lead 21-20.
The Argonauts are at the Edmonton 45-yard line. There is some wind at times. Basically, it's swirling in here, and it does that. And the Argos would be in a position to try a 52-yard field goal if they chose, but it looks as though Balisic is going to punt the ball. It is a punt by Balisic. And it could tie this game if the Eskimos choose to stay where Ron Ingram is. We're tied again. That was the case at halftime when it was 14 all, and now it's 21 all.
Jeff Boyd being attended to now on the Argo bench. It appears to be an ankle or foot problem, and maybe, no, it's his knee.
This is a hell of a ball game now. Let's win this damn thing.
He's getting a thorough examination. Knees, they're so vulnerable in this game of football.
And rolling to his left, and down he goes. Glenn Kulka usually celebrates his sacks that way.
Kulka might be one of the most improved football players in the CFL. He's a big, strong guy. They call him Kulkomania in Toronto, as he just came right down the line of scrimmage. He has tremendous quickness for a big guy. He has a body by Atlas, as you saw in one of our features earlier in the season. But he's turning into a pretty good football player as well.
That gives the Argos the lead in sacks today. Tracy Ham back, setting up a screen to Tony Spallettini, and Don Mullen helps on along with a pretty good middle linebacker. Bruce Holmes has been prominent for the Argos defensively today, so all the Eskimos did was go backwards on that series, and Jerry Carr comes in to punt.
Bruce Holmes was determined to get to the ball carrier. He had 3 blockers out in front of him. He just waded right through to make
The defender who thought an interception might be possible, and Jeff Boyd's going to stay on the ground for a few seconds.
Jeff Boyd coming off the line very quickly, looking down. Now he's looking for the soft area of the zone. He curls back, and you can clearly see that Renfro had thrown the ball behind him. That would have been an outstanding catch had Boyd made it. He also injured himself on the play, and now being attended to by the medical staff of the Argos. You know, Toronto is moving this football up and down, but they can't seem to have any finish right now. Other than that big play to Ingram from Tracy Ham, the Eskimos haven't done a whole lot in the second half. But they lead 21-20.
The Argonauts are at the Edmonton 45-yard line. There is some wind at times. Basically, it's swirling in here, and it does that. And the Argos would be in a position to try a 52-yard field goal if they chose, but it looks as though Olesic is going to punt the ball. Here's a punt by Olesic. And it could tie this game if the Eskimos choose to stay where Ron Ingram is. We are tied again. That was the case at halftime when it was 14-all, and now it's 21-all.
Jeff Boyd being attended to now on the Argo bench. It appears to be an ankle or foot problem, and maybe, no, it's his knee.
This is a hell of a ball game now. Let's win this damn thing.
He's getting a thorough examination. Knees, they're so vulnerable in this game of football.
And rolling to his left, and down he goes. Glenn Kulka usually celebrates his sacks that way.
Kulka might be one of the most improved football players in the CFL. He's a big, strong guy. They call him Kulkomania in Toronto, as he just came right down the line of scrimmage. He has tremendous quickness for a big guy. He has a body by Atlas, as you saw in one of our features earlier in the season. But he's turning into a pretty good football player as well.
That gives the Argos the lead in sacks today. Tracy Ham back, setting up a screen to Tony Spallettini, and Don Mullen helps on along with a pretty good middle linebacker. Bruce Holmes has been prominent for the Argos defensively today, so all the Eskimos did was go backwards on that series, and Jerry Carr comes in to punt.
Bruce Holmes was determined to get to the ball carrier. He had 3 blockers out in front of him. He just waded right through to make the stop. Holmes and Nigerian, both college teammates at the University of Minnesota, both pretty good linebackers here for the Toronto Argonauts.
Borg answering the long punt of Olesic. Now Moore to the sideline. so he'll just keep going and go out of bounds. They'll work at the 32-yard line. The Argos have scored the last 4 points of this game to create the 21-all tie.
I've always felt that the most exciting play in football is the punt return. And I think the best rule that they ever made in the CFL is when they allowed blocking on kick returns. I think it's really put the excitement back into the game. Jeff Boyd is back in the lineup, so that's nice to see.
I mean, there was a day you couldn't block on punt returns?
Oh, I remember well.
I'm just kidding. First down, Argos. Fennerty takes the pitch from Renfro, and again he stumbles and falls and loses a couple of yards. By now, these players should be able to have the right footwear. Whether that's the problem or not, I don't know. We tested the turf, as every good announcer does prior to the game, and felt the grass was maybe a little longer than usual. But surely that's not the reason why the players are falling when they shouldn't in this game. 2nd and 12. Fennerty only 32 yards rushing today. Renfro threw it just in the nick of time and over the head of Darrell Smith. There were 3 Eskimos who wound up in the area as defenders, and Renfro took a hit, and he gets up rather slowly as the Argos prepare to punt. We have sweaters and overcoats away in a box over there. We don't need them thanks to a great day. Another sunny Sunday afternoon in Edmonton. Fans enjoying the football and the weather at the same time as the Argos punt. Fumble as a flag is thrown. It's going to hurt the Argonauts. No yards is going to be called, and the loose ball recovered anyway by Edmonton, though that doesn't matter because of the penalty. Stanley Blair has it.
Selwyn Drain down just a little too quickly. Ingram fumbled the football, but you can clearly see that Drain did not give him the necessary yardage to receive the kick.
No yards. Toronto number 26. Face mask. Toronto number 26.
Oh, it ends up being a real tough one. Drain picks up a double penalty. No yards, grabbing the face mask. 30 yards in penalty yardage gives the Eskimos tremendous field position in Argo territory. This game all deadlocked at 21-21. A big break again for the Eskimos, and they've had 2 or 3 this afternoon.
Game close enough that it could be decided by something like that. Eskimos from the 44 of the Argos. And Pumps throws it deep. Sandusky trying to get back there. Jim Sandusky just outfought Carl Braisley for the ball. Sandusky had the advantage of knowing where it would be, and he used that advantage to outmuscle Braisley when the 2 of them got there at precisely the same time.
Good pressure, though, on the quarterback as the Argos came, and look at Ham. He just threw it up for grabs. Now, Sandusky had to come back to the football, but this is something that he and Ham work on in practice, and nobody is better at this than Sandusky. He just came right back and took it away from Braisley. We haven't heard much from Sandusky, but that was a big play right there for the Eskimos. He's
First
a clutch guy.
7-yard line. Hand to the end zone, and Sandusky has a chance to score and can't grab it.
Well, this is where the Argos have to dig in a little bit now, and this would be a victory of sorts if they could limit Edmonton to just 3 points. There was one again that Sandusky had his hands on, and you can see by his reaction that he was upset. He has those flypaper hands, normally catches those kind of balls.
Place with Tracy Ham's running ability can help him. He's going to throw it, and another one is dropped by Sandusky. He had to go low for it, but maybe should have had that one too.
Well, the players have had the dropsies here, and these are 2 very fine football teams. As we ISO on Jim Sandusky goes down, he runs good, precise patterns. Braisley playing him tough man-to-man. He wasn't going to be pushed off. That's one thing that good receivers will do, is when they climb right up on the defensive back, they'll just give him a little shove. It's rarely called by the officials. Then you come back, and it's an easy catch. Unfortunately, Sandusky dropped it for the Eskimos.
Should be an easy field goal by Jerry Corrick. who of course was one of the heroes of the Grey Cup. They fake it, they throw it wide open for the touchdown. And that is Brett the Toaster Williams. There is a flag, however. Let's check the penalty.
I don't think we see enough of this in the CFL. You gotta love it. It's brought all the fans to their feet. It looks like it's going to be a touchdown.
It's roughing the passer against the Argonauts, which will hurt them, as penalties have done so much in this game on the ensuing kickoff. But the Eskimos faked the field goal.
Vavra did a super job. He put the ball down just like he was going to place it, then rolled out to his right. The Toaster Williams was in. He was an eligible receiver. He was on the end of the line of scrimmage. He was a pass receiver, and he went out, and the big guy has a good set of hands. That is the biggest play of the ball game.
He usually celebrates quarterback sacks or tackles, not pass receptions for touchdowns, but Brett Williams has put the Eskimos in front by 7. The Argos are going to get the ball near the 30-yard line, and now Toaster Williams goes out to do what he's really paid to do.
Brett Williams, right on the left part of your screen, he just goes right downfield, breaks it to the sideline. Vavra just puts it on the money, goes down to his knee. That's a big thrill for a defensive lineman. Williams having an outstanding year, 9 quarterback sacks coming into this game, and an opportunity to go on offense. You can bet he will keep that football.
That's why quarterbacks hold for field goal kickers very often, because they're in a position to do what Greg Vavra did, his first touchdown pass of the season. Jeff Boyd tried with one hand, couldn't catch it. We have 33,549 here at Commonwealth Stadium. Happy again that the Eskimos are in front.
This is normally where the Toaster plays. He gives good inside pressure. This is one of the reasons that the Eskimos acquired him from the BC Lions, is because he is a big, strong guy who can push those offensive linemen right back into the quarterback. Of course, Vavra, he's pleased. He was the fellow who threw his first touchdown pass, as Dave just told you, in an Edmonton Eskimo uniform.
An Edmonton blitz. They throw past it to Boyd, but the tackle is made by Benjamin. Jeff Boyd could have run a long way if he had been able to break that tackle. Benjamin making sure he didn't and forcing the Argos to punt.
Again, we take a look at Jeff Boyd, just 2 steps, breaks it into the middle. He's hoping he's going to have some running room, but Benjamin very quickly reacts, comes up, and makes sure the tackle to prevent the Argos from getting the first down. As I told you, this Eskimo secondary, they love to come up and make the hit. They're very physical. They like to intimidate.
Well, Gizmo Williams has been upstaged by Brett the Toaster Williams, and Gizmo doesn't get a chance to return this punt. Ingram, who fumbled the last one, and no damage to the Eskimos. He's returning now. Interesting that the Eskimos have chosen to use Ron Ingram as a punt returner and not Jim Sandusky, who probably does it better. But Ingram, the newcomer, who has a touchdown catch in this game, is Gizmo Williams' punt return partner.
I think that's why Joe Ferraghelli is such a good coach. If you're going to dress a guy and play him, you might as well use him. Sandusky, a very valuable receiver. And when you have someone like Ingram, who has returned kicks before, why not put him in the ball game and give him a shot? He's done a pretty good job today, too.
Eskimos from their 30 with a 7-point lead. Maybe that is reflected by the first down call. The Eskimos haven't run much today. Now the team has.
That's almost a throwaway play as Tracy Ham just turns around and gives it to his big running back. But the Argos have done a good job of plugging up the middle today. This is Tracy Ham's kind of down. 2nd down and a lot of yardage.
He's averaging almost 20 yards per pass completion in this game. And now Ham's on the move. What great moves. Tracy Ham was just looking for a first down at one point, and he turns it into a long gain into Argo territory. He just shouldn't be able to get that free from two tacklers who are bearing down. And let's watch it, see how he did it.
Well, we told you what a great runner he was in college. Now we see him as a pro. Look at those moves in the open field, head fakes. And he was drafted as a running back by the National Football League, and you can see why. What a bonus it is when you can have a quarterback that has the ability to run. Tracy Ham is as good as there is in the league right now.
Well, he's probably the most dangerous man when running with a football. He can make big plays out of seemingly nothing. 8 yards on average per carry. Brian Walling on first down. Hits a couple. Walling with a touchdown in this game on a pass from Tracy Ham. Ham has the ability of making enough big plays in a game that normally isn't a great one for him to turn it into an Edmonton victory.
You can almost sense right now, too, the Eskimos, a very, very experienced team. They have not lost at home this year. If they can take this drive and sustain it and put it in the end zone, that just might be what they need to win the game.
On Tracy Ham's hip as he throws to the sidelines, and Sandusky will hold this one for another Edmonton first down.
Eskimos playing with a lot of confidence right now. It's amazing how one play can turn a game around. Jim Sandusky, as he goes down, he runs patterns much like the former great here with the Eskimos. Look how he drives the defensive back to the inside and just turns it outside. Heck, he's 3 yards in front of Brazeley.
Did everything right on that play, right from the textbook. Jim Sandusky with a catch. The Eskimos continue to march. Their largest lead, 10. If they could score a touchdown, they'd be up by 14. Walling looking for some room. There is none. Willie Pless right in his face when he got the handoff.
Time now starting to be a factor in this ball game. We're in the fourth quarter, 9 minutes remaining. Eskimos leading 28-21. Have the football now deep in Argo territory. This will be a big play right here.
From the Argo 29. Ham looks left, now back over the middle, and he'll run straight up the middle. Paid for that one with a hit, but got the first down to the 15.
Speaking of Brian Kelly, you see the fellow there with the sunglasses? That is Brian Kelly. What a great player he was over the years. Sitting with his wife, Kelly, and here's the guy I'm comparing to, Jim Sandusky, a fine addition to this team and very talented football player.
Ham got the first down as his running starts to be important. It usually is in an Edmonton game. Over the middle, touchdown, Tracy Ham to Henry. Gizmo Williams, it is Brett, followed by Gizmo.
Oh, the Gizmo should be over in Seoul in the gymnastic competition. This little guy finally gets a touchdown pass. His first of the year, a curling pattern, but watch how Tracy Ham delivers this football. Tremendous velocity, quick release, zap, right to the Gizmo. And that was good coverage by the Argos. Just a perfectly thrown football. Now we'll watch the little extracurricular. I tell you, he should be in the free exercise. Gizmo Williams.
That's the Williams the fans came to see score a touchdown. So Williams Brett and Williams Henry had scored in the fourth quarter, and the Eskimos have opened up their largest lead of the game. It's 35-21. Breathing room for the Edmonton Eskimos. Henry Williams saying he's going back to the Grey Cup. Today, the Eskimos are beating the team they beat to win the '87 Grey Cup.
Oh, I like this little guy. Tremendous personality, always smiling. We see now Tracy Ham just deliver the football, get away from the rush. Gizmo leaping in the air for the touchdown, and here's the flip. He's pretty. I tell you, you need more guys like Gizmo Williams in this league, and he is entertainment.
And when he's playing wide receiver, he can hurt you more ways than he usually does, as he has just done to the Argos. A big day, passing yardage for Gilbert Renfro, but not going to mean much unless he can get a whole lot more of it. The ball batted down, intended for Boyd, working on Benjamin, and Benjamin didn't let Jeff Boyd get near the ball.
It's amazing how one play can turn a football game around, and I don't think there's any question it was the fake field goal. A great call by head coach Joe Farragelli, Fabra. to the Toaster Williams on a tackle-eligible play, you might say. He was on the end of the scrimmage, line of scrimmage as a blocker. He ended up, and I really think that took the wind out of the sails of the Argos.
7:20 to go. The Argos down 2 touchdowns. Second and 10 here. They come after Renfro. 3 of them, he fires it low, and Warren Hudson was the intended receiver. It's incomplete. Renfro happy just to get rid of the ball.
Well, excellent pressure by the Eskimos. They can feel it now. I think their intensity level has picked up 2 or 3 notches, particularly in this fourth quarter, and they can sense that they play hard on defense, they can win this football game, and they were all over Renfro that time. I think he just did a good job to get rid of the football and not take the loss.
Well, the Eskimos try to fake field goal, but the Argos aren't going to do anything but punt the ball this time with less than 7 minutes to go. Well, the Argos had a couple of good shots at Henry Williams. Edmonton has the ball in the 14-point lead. Well, the Argos have done some good things. Darrell Smith has caught a lot of passes, and Gilbert Renfro has, of course, thrown them. Lance Chomick has made every field goal. But the Eskimos are leading, and the big play was the fake field goal. Tracy Ham has struck for big plays as well. Pitch to Walling, and Walling fights to the 35-yard line, a very close score.
I'm impressed with this Walling guy. He has pretty good speed, and that was just a power sweep to the short side. This kid looks like he enjoys playing the game as well.
Eskimos, second down, just under 4 yards to go. 3.5, and Spolatini is not going to make it. He is close, but the Eskimos aren't in a position to do any gambling here.
Well, the Eskimos up by 2 touchdowns. I think they're content to use up as much time on the clock as they can. They're not going to gamble here, no reason to. Farragelli sends in his kicking team. It's catch-up time now for the Argos. They need a couple of big plays in a hurry.
Clock is moving, and the Eskimos will let it do that. Now the 5:45 ticks along, and Jerry Corrick waits to punt. Argos are rushing 10 men, and will try to set up a return. Not a high or long punt by Corrick. Here is the return by Darrell Smith. The Eskimos are 5 minutes and 25 seconds away from retaining sole possession of first place in the CFL West, leaving the Argos in a first-place Eastern tie with Hamilton. Eskimos should be thinking Argo pass on every play now, and that's usually the result when the defense can forget about the run and charge the quarterback.
Well, Alex Carter just comes from his defensive left end position, and he just loops right around the offensive tackle, which is Brewster. Beats him cleanly on the play, and Renfro was just a dead duck in the pocket. And that's the 5th quarterback sack of the season for Carter.
Once more, the Argos in an obvious passing situation. Eskimo defenders get set, and away they go at Renfro. Fires it near the feet of Gil Fennerty. The Eskimos would like a flag thrown. None appears, but it's an incompletion and another 3rd down situation for the Argonauts. 4:28 to go. And again, we ask, will Hank Olesic do something other than punt?
You know, it's a very precarious position to be when you trail by 14. The defense knows that you have to put the ball up in the air, and they can really gamble. Again, the Eskimos coming with the blitz. Warren, the linebacker, Stuart Hill, he's always a big presence. They just, I think that time the officials could have called grounding the football.
Olesic is punting, end over end ball. Ingram uses his speed to get to the sidelines, but hasn't got enough to return it upfield. Is a little frustrated as he slams the ball to the ground. The Eskimos will have it at the 30-yard line with exactly 4 minutes to go.
It's interesting to note, I asked both head coaches if they thought their teams this year were better than the teams that met in the Grey Cup final last year. Ferragelli says, I think we have a chance to be better. Bobo Bilovic says there's no question they are a better football team. But today it's been the Eskimos. Although I didn't think they played all that well in many parts of this football game, but they have such great togetherness, and they have learned how to win this franchise, and they just seem to get stronger and stronger as the game goes on.
Edmonton's big play capability has really represented the difference in this game. And throwing again, the receiver comes back to the ball, and that's Jim Sandusky doing it again.
And again, it was a pass that looked like it was underthrown, and that's what they have been working on in practice. Ham spreading out to the outside. No pressure this time from the Argos, and Ham just throws the ball about 5 yards behind Sandusky. He plants and comes back and makes a diving catch. Oh, he is a cool customer. I like this Tracy Ham, and he can only get better, and that has to be scary for the rest of the teams in the Canadian Football League.
Tom, it's interesting, in a game earlier this season at Vancouver, Joe Ferragelli was criticized for leaving Damon Allen in the game and not using Tracy Ham, and he said, Damon Allen is my #1 quarterback, and that's what you do with #1 quarterbacks. You let them play. He admits now, with Allen on the injured list for the second time this season, that when Damon Allen comes back, the roles will be reversed, and Tracy Ham is indeed the #1 guy for Edmonton when both of them are healthy, unless something happens to change it later.
Again, a nice demonstration by the running back, Walling. Very quick, right up the middle. Bobo Bilovic very concerned right now.
Eskimos close to a victory. They lead by 14. 2 minutes, 57 seconds are standing between the Eskimos and another victory at home. Nobody's beaten them here at Commonwealth Stadium this season, and it's going to take a pretty good effort to do that, as Edmonton likes the natural grass, and the Eskimos have used their great home record to go to the top of the CFL West.
Well, I think the schedule makers came up with a good schedule here with these two teams meeting back-to-back in each other's home ballpark. Today it was the Eskimos. Ferragelli is said to have been a little ill before the game, some laryngitis. He made fun of that, but he's very much into the game right now. Bobo Bilovic, an outstanding coach, winningest coach in Argo history. In the 7 years he's been the head coach, Toronto's only missed the playoffs once, and they have finished first in the Eastern Division 4 times, Coach of the Year twice. He is an outstanding coach, no question about it. He's done a great job with the Argos. There's the toaster in on short yardage again.
It is third down. The Eskimos are going to try to get it and keep the ball. And dives over right tackle. Every running play, of course, keeps the clock moving. The Eskimos won't need any more points, but they will just as soon keep the football out of the Argos' hands.
You have to be impressed with this Eskimo franchise over the years, the winning tradition that they've had. Who will ever forget the phenomenal run they had with Hugh Campbell as coach? 5 consecutive Grey Cup victories. Joe Ferragelli took over for the ill Jackie Parker last year, was able to keep this team together, and they won another championship.
Tracy Ham trying to cap off a good day for him, throws it too low for Henry Williams. There's really no limit to how good Tracy Ham can be if he stays healthy in this Canadian Football League career as long as it might be. He's going to slow down after a few years. He'll take some hits, but the arm is there, the legs are there, and there doesn't seem to be anything that rattles Tracy Ham. He knows this game very well, as well or better than many veteran quarterbacks who've been in the CFL a lot longer. Walling and Willie Pless are in a struggle.
Further with Tracy Ham, 2 years ago, Jackie Parker told me about Tracy Ham. He said, we have a guy on our neg list. He said, if we're able to sign him, he has the chance. Now, he said he has the chance to be better than Matt Dunnigan and Damon Allen, and he hadn't even played a pro game. they were so impressed with the things he could do in college. As we said, he went to Georgia Southern. It's not a Division I school, but he is a talent.
And yet you're never impressed with Tracy Hand during a practice. It's one of the strange things about this guy. He can look this good in a game and look awful in a practice. Gary Corrick adds to the Edmonton lead. It's 38-21, and I don't know what this says to other players when they see a guy throwing passes 10 yards too short or too long in practice, but I suppose they don't care if he can put them on the mark in a game.
Not because you nose guard, I stepped behind you, and then I saw the nose guard pass, I went straight up, and he was at 77 right there.
Dwight Edwards gets his hands on the ball for the first time today, and Greg Miller gets in on the tackle.
Well, with the retirement of Bill Stevenson, the big offensive lineman of the Edmonton Eskimos, who was the oldest football player in the Canadian Football League, I think the guy now who is the oldest is Dwight Edwards, the fellow we just saw take that kick. He is 35 years old.
The Argos can't win it with a minute and a half to go, but they'll keep trying to score. Pulling out of bounds is Pernell Moore.
You always want to look at positives, even if you lose a football game, and there's one right there for the Toronto Argonauts. Pernell Moore has really done a good job. Renfro has been paying the price, though, after he delivers the football. He took a hit from behind from Stuart Hill. And, you know, I talked about quarterbacks. They have to have courage, and you can see why. They have to get up after being hit on plays like that.
Flags go down, so does Gilbert Renfro.
Well, I think holding will be the call in there. Usually when you see the penalty markers at the line of scrimmage. Renfro now, he's frustrated. He looked like he was going to have a hot hand this afternoon, and his numbers show that he's played well.
Holding, Toronto 64, declined, second down.
This was billed as the rematch of the 1987 Grey Cup game. And isn't it interesting? The Eskimos won that game with 38 points. And right now, in this game, they have 38 points. The difference, the Argos at 36 in the Grey Cup and only 21 today. Renfro tosses it up, and it's a volleyball match to see who gets it. Cliff Tony at least prevents the completion. Renfro's going to look back on this day and see a lot of passing yardage and wonder why it didn't mean more on the scoreboard.
Well, I think when he watches the tapes of this game and they prepare again for the Eskimos next week, I think he has to be pleased that he knows that there are areas where Edmonton can be beat. Look at Fennerty. Has he been shut down today? He needed 37 yards to surpass his totals of all of last year. The Eskimos have held him to only 32.
Yeah,
Not many teams can do that, Dave.
Last two games, Fennerty hasn't got 100 yards in total. Here's Williams. Still at his feet. However, the Argos will take him down. The Gizmo gets a workout for his money to the 32-yard line, and the fans go home cheering him again.
Well, he's a parakeet-sized running back. He only stands about 5'5" or 5'6", but he's really well built and very strong. He can run through those arm tackles. And that's really the first opportunity today that the Gizmo has had a chance to actually get around the corner and do his thing. There he runs right through a tackle, and now he goes to the outside, almost runs through, breaks that tackle. He's a very muscular fella, difficult to bring down.
Greg Favre in the game at quarterback for the Eskimos, and they'll just run out this clock if they're allowed to with 47 seconds to go. Another run and a punt, and we should be just about at the end of this game. The Grey Cup was close, a 2-point victory for Edmonton. This rather more decisive, though the Eskimos did not break it open and in fact did not take the lead for good until the fourth quarter.
Pretty good crowd here today, too, on a sunny afternoon at Commonwealth Stadium, 33,500.
Greg Baber looking at the clock as he calls for the ball. There are 25 seconds to go.
There's Tracy Ham, Damon Allen congratulating him.
Stephen Jones as well. He's the third string quarterbacker he was when he was healthy, and they all played in a game recently.
Stephen Jones could be back next week in this rematch between these two teams. He just has a slightly sprained ankle.
The beauty of the Eskimos' depth is that they don't need to hurry anybody back from injuries. Jones is out today, and Gizmo Williams has caught a touchdown pass. Jim Sandusky has done his usual job on the other side. Damon Allen is on the injured list. The Eskimos don't appear to miss him. Marshall, Johnstone, the Canadian running backs, they're out, and the Eskimos get good work from their replacements. This high punt by Cork. Pernell Moore awaits it. From his 40, he runs backwards 5 yards. And now Pernell Moore is on the move. Won't go all the way, but it adds to his punt return yardage, which has been plentiful today with 9 seconds left.
What a pleasant find Pernell Moore has been for this Toronto team. It just goes to show you, if you beat the bushes, you can come up with some pretty good football players. Moore trying to get to the wall on the right side, retreats, loses ground, and now he's able to turn the corner. It's a foot race. Right here, a good move to cut it up the seam. Unfortunately, a couple Eskimo players had the angle on him, and he didn't go the distance, but still a sparkling return.
Argos will try to end it on a positive note. Kennedy slipped a tackle and got to the 11 or 12-yard line with 2 seconds left, so there'll be one more opportunity for the Argos to score and get a little closer to the winning Edmonton Eskimos.
Well, you got a feeling that these two teams just might hook up again. We know next week, but even after that, I think to this stage in the season, these two teams have clearly maybe been the best, although Hamilton is certainly coming on now, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Renfro might as well go to the end zone. He comes up short of that and finds the ball in Don Wilson's arms. The Eskimos intercept on the last play of the game, and they stay 2 points ahead of the Saskatchewan Roughriders in first place in the CFL West, and the Eskimos establish themselves as the best team at this stage of the CFL season with a record of 8 victories and 3 losses. The Argos go to 7-4. The Argos loss leaves them tied for first place in the East with Hamilton. The Ticats, the big winners this weekend. Everybody else in the East lost. And in the West, the Edmonton Eskimos winning again at home. Stay 2 points up on Saskatchewan, and there's now room between the Riders and the BC Lions, and not nearly as much as there used to be between the Lions and the Calgary Stampeders. Well, the Edmonton Eskimos win again at home, and Tom Larscheid, they show the value of the big play and sometimes the value of the trick play.
Well, it was also a gutsy call, I think, by Joe Faragelli. I didn't think that the Eskimos played particularly well today, but good football teams have a way of winning when they don't play well. They hung in there together. They had their opportunity, and of course the call of the game was the fake field goal, and Toaster scoring his first touchdown as an Edmonton Eskimo.
The Argos are struggling a bit. I don't think there's any reason to panic in Toronto, but suddenly without some key defensive players, they're not playing as well there, and they need something to get back to where they were during the big winning streak.
I still think they're a very talented football team, Dave. Gil Fenerty, he's the key guy, you know, for the Argos, and he was shut down by the Eskimos. They did a good job holding him, and I think they'll gear it up and crank it up next week, and I think you'll see a very competitive Toronto team against Edmonton.
Again today, Edmonton beats Toronto in the Grey Cup rematch, 38-21. We thank you for watching and say so long from Edmonton.